Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning, Trina. Good morning, Nicola.
I think Belinda's trying to get into. Oh, there she is.
Ah, there she is. Yeah, she's in.
Morning, good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
How's everyone making out today?
Good. If all
Okay.
these updates would stop happening at once.
Updates? What do you got? What's updating?
Zoom just updated on me. It looks
Oh,
totally
okay.
different. Samsung is rolling out the new Android 13 and my phone did not like it. My battery is actually exploding. It puffed up. So I'm waiting for a new one to come in today.
Wow.
My phone is on life support.
Yeah. Didn't Samsung have like an issue with exploding phones a while back?
Yes,
The
2
notes?
years ago.
Yeah, right.
hmm
All right, letting a few more people in. Morning, Chris. Good to see
What's
you,
up,
brother.
buddy? Long time no talk.
How are you?
Looking at the snow coming down.
Oh, are you really? Is
Oh,
it snowing?
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, brother. Yeah, I apologize, brother. I see I have a few unread messages from this weekend. I'm just trying to finish up a property, an Airbnb property for February 1st. I have a tenant moving in for the month. So
Okay.
I was gonna get back to you obviously
No,
today.
no worries. I actually answered the question myself because I just forwarded the link that I have already to her. So I got a tour this morning. I'm not sure if she'll be able to jump on, but we'll see.
Okay. What was your question in regards to onboarding somebody?
No, so she was an EXP agent that joined EXP, I think maybe about a year and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
And she reached out to me asking if she was interested in joining the team. So I said, of course. So I wanted to invite her to the mastermind
Yeah,
Monday
absolutely.
mornings.
Absolutely. That's
She's a
great.
brand new
What's her
agent.
name?
Isabella Fiola. She lives in East Hanover.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Florham Park. So she's a newly licensed agent, and she was with someone else who sponsored her, but she long story short, she reached out to me. I guess she saw my information online somewhere, and so we met, and she joined the team.
Nice, brother. Congratulations.
Yep.
Yeah. I like the haircut, bro. You took it down.
Yeah, I took it down. You know why I took it down? Because in the winter I like to wear hats because it's so cold, keep my head warm. And every time I take my hat off, I gotta do my hair again. So I think I'm gonna just keep it low until the summer.
Yeah, that's my excuse too. I was going to ask you, how are the sheriff sales in Morris County? Are they back? Are they looking good, or is it still too?
There was only so I've been gone since I left to Columbia on the 31st
Mhm.
at night, and I just got back on the 18th. So I haven't really paid attention to this month, but prior to that, there has really not been much going on.
Yeah.
Like you might see 6 scheduled, and then by the time it's 2 o'clock, it gets down to like 3, and either title's no good or the
Yeah.
upsets are too high. But primarily, I think the challenge is that the upset that the banks are looking for at the sheriff's sale, it's way too high.
You need to come spend a week with me here in Florida, man.
You know, my wife told me that when we were in Columbia, she said, we need to take a trip to Florida so that you can figure out how to get licensed, because my youngest daughter graduates in 1 more year.
Mhm.
So I think we're going to officially make the jump.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, at the sheriff's sales down here in Southwest Florida, I'm seeing stuff go anywhere between 50 to 70%.
Oh my God.
And we haven't seen numbers like that in Jersey for years.
Since what, 2010, 11 probably?
Yeah. So
And I wish I was doing the sheriff sales back then. I
Yeah.
didn't get involved in the sheriff sales till like 2017.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity down here, especially after the hurricane. There's been a lot of more properties hitting the market. So if your investors are open to looking outside the state, I'll gladly show you around here, man.
Nice.
The ropes. Oh, and the beauty is that the banks actually show you their upset way before. So remember how we used to be like on the hook waiting for professional appearances to give us their list of upset numbers or
Yeah.
drop numbers? we get the drop number. They get the drop. They publicize the drop numbers on the website, so you can do the research ahead of time on the ones that
That's
actually have
fantastic.
the. What's that?
And professional appearances, they're not giving the upsets anymore.
Oh, they're not. I know, and not
Stop
only
doing
that,
that.
but it's all remote, so you can do these auctions from Jersey. You could do them from anywhere. You don't have to be in Florida.
Oh yeah, definitely got to take a trip down. And when I came back, I jumped on the MLS and I did a search in Morris County. I went from like 100,000 to 400,000,
Uh-huh.
and 56 properties came up that were, colonials, freestanding, not townhouses.
Yeah.
And out of those 56 properties that came up, I think I came across about maybe 13 REO properties.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see the REOs
Creep
jump
up.
up. But they're overpriced.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
Well, I'm glad you're on the call today, and I want to introduce you to the group. I know there's a few people here may not know who you are. Real quick, can you just tell everyone how long you've been in the business and some of your accolades that you're most proud of?
Sure. So I have been a licensed real estate agent.
Wow. He's still trying to remember. It's been so long. He's been around for a while, guys. I think he's right around the same time I started, around the early 2000s. Yeah, I think I think he froze up for good. So yeah, Chris has been around for a while, and funny story about Chris is that we have the same last name, but we're not related. And it's so funny because every time like I would try to make an appointment back in Jersey when I was showing homes, people would when I would call showing time, they would ask me for my last name, and I would give my last name. They're like, Christopher or Lewis. I'm like, who is this Christopher guy? I got to meet him one day. And I sent him a couple messages on social media, never heard back from him. And then one day I think I ran into him somewhere, and I'm like, hey, listen, you're Chris Tava, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, bro, my name is Lewis. I must have heard your name like 1,000 times trying to make appointments, and we laughed it off, and we built a good relationship. And Chris has been not only a real estate agent, but he was a broker. He had his own Remax for a while. And then I think after the downturn, he ended up just rolling into Remax and becoming a team. And when I joined eXp Realty, I thought of him. I was like, Chris would be a great addition to the group. Took him about a year to see the value in it. And then it turns out that it was probably one of the best moves he ever made. So Chris is, if you guys ever need any help in Morris County, he's the guy. He's really well versed out there. Well, he's gone for now. He's probably going to jump back in a sec. So anyone else? I wanted to ask you guys, how was your weekend? Any good accomplishments last week? I know Alejandro's got a couple of exciting things he may want to talk about. Anyone else?
Hi, good morning, guys.
Hey, what's up, Ivania?
So I actually wanted to share, we started our role play group, and it's open to anybody who wants to
Awesome.
join. But we have seen how we are, today we're talking about how we're growing, it starting to sound better on the phone, and
Love it.
we're even closing more calls as we get meaner to each other, so that when we call people, we're actually ready for it. And today, beautiful thing, I saw Dory, she's here on the call. It was like seeing your kid take off the training wheels. So it was nice. But another thing that I wanted to tell you guys is about the follow-up. I actually had an appointment this weekend with this couple, 2 men. I had been calling them for about a year, and I like to take what Grant Cardone says, until they tell me that they're gonna sue me, I just keep calling. So the first time that I actually called them, they told me that they had a real estate friend and that they were not going to give it to me. If they were going to ever give it to somebody, they will give it to his friend. And you know what? I was there Saturday doing the walkthrough through the house. I have to talk numbers with the guy today. So even if they tell you no, just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. In a little bit, if you don't mind, maybe we can go back and forth a little bit on some of the role plays so people can get an idea what you guys do.
Okay, sounds
Awesome.
good.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alejandro, real quick, can you share with the group real quick? Guys, I mentioned to you last week that Alejandro and one of his agents have been prospecting like crazy, and they've been getting good leads. And there's a bunch of good leads that he sent me this week that I'm working on. Hopefully one of them lands. Alejandro, is there anything special you guys are doing, or anything that maybe you'd like to share with the group?
Well, basically, it's my team member hustle. I just like helping him out. Really, we got a couple properties on the contract. We're trying to do the assignment. So I explained to him the whole thing, but really, all credit goes to him. Really, and he's a BA. So the guy is great, man. He's motivated. You know, he already like he's fearless. He already got a couple properties on the contract himself,
Mhm.
and I'm like, wow, because I was like, you always got this thought like, oh, how about nobody wanted it? I lose my deposit, this and that. This guy just went in and got them all locked up, like no second thought, and I was like, wow, So it's great to see him doing that because made me feel like maybe I was overthinking on everything.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. Whatever your beliefs are, you're 100% right. So if you believe that there's no listings and there's no market, you're right. If you believe there are listings and there's an opportunity out there, you're going to be right. So whatever you truly believe in, that's exactly what the future you're going to plan out for yourself. So you want to add anything more to that, Alejandro?
Not really. I mean, we keep going. He could give me the a lot of stuff to work on, which keep me busy. The beginning of the year was very slow and scary and whatever. But like you say, it's all about mindset.
Correct. Yeah. So let me ask you this: now that you're starting to see some energy and activity coming out of him, are you gonna double down with him? Because it seems to me like a no-brainer. Like if it's working, maybe you should put more effort or time into him.
Yes. I'm all in. I'm all in. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it.
That's great. Yeah, guys. A lesson to be learned: momentum comes around ever so often, and it's not very common. When you see momentum, you really got to lean into it. You got to double down. Like what if something happens that's really good? Like for instance, let's just say you get 3 closings in a month or 4 closings and whatever your goal is, right? If you do that and that's like not normal, like this is more business than you've been doing, that's called momentum. And whatever it is that got you there, you got to do more of that. And you got to let everyone know that you're doing 3 or 4. You got to keep that momentum going. But if you're the type of person that you get complacent when you get momentum, then what's going to happen is that's going to be your ceiling and you're not going to grow from there. That's just going to be a story you're going to tell people in the future that, that's what you accomplished. But when you get momentum, guys, that's the time to double down. Wake up earlier, figure out, strategize what it was that you were doing that got you there. And just really, guys, got to put all your energy into that. You may have to sacrifice a few things along the way, but it's only temporary because once you build so much momentum, you don't even have to worry about it anymore. Think about the analogy of you pushing up pushing a big boulder up a mountain. And if you bring that boulder and you keep pushing, eventually you're going to hit a place where it's not as hard to push that boulder anymore, and it starts to actually take off on its own. But if you don't push long enough, you're never going to make it there where your business can actually survive on its own when you start to delegate some of the stuff that got you there, and then you start to micromanage all the pieces. But definitely good to hear, Alejandro, that people are having success. Guys, there is no secret out there. It's a contact sport. The more people you talk to, the more connections you make, the more you are in front of other people who can change your life. The better you're going to do. So that's really good. Anyone else want to share anything before we get started?
Lastly, I do.
Yeah.
Saturday, I had my sellers home selling workshop.
Oh, yeah.
And I had 52 attend, and I have 10 walkthroughs this week.
That's insane. Do you hear that, guys?
All I did was Facebook Marketplace, just in the yard sale areas.
And that costs you nothing, right? That's free.
Absolutely nothing. Are you guys seeing me? Can you hear me and see me? Okay.
Yeah. You're looking like a music video from the 80s, but
yeah, I don't understand what's happening. But as long as you can hear me, that's fine. The only thing that they said to me that they wanted, that people are ready for sit downs. They want me to go ahead and book the local conference rooms, and they actually want me to hand out pamphlets or, be able to do a face-to-face Q&A. So I'm going to do another one.
So Belinda,
yes.
Facebook event, not a live event?
No, that they're kind of pretty much, I'm getting a sense that people are done with Zoom calls,
Yeah,
so to speak. So they're ready for in-person things to happen.
Yeah.
but this one did was a Zoom call,
This one I did was a Zoom.
and you have 52 people come in.
I had 52 people
I'm calling you
come
later.
in. Yes,
That's-
all I did was advertising in Facebook Market place at the yard sales just in my county. I did
Okay.
not do outside. So yes, I'm going to span it and grow it because
You
here in Georgia is seasonal. You know, springtime is where the most houses go onto the market. So I pretty much I feel like I'm getting ahead of the herd.
I love
That's
that.
pretty awesome. Congratulations, bro.
Thank you.
I love that. That's so good. My question was, I think you might have answered it. How far from your radius are the people? Are they all in the county, or did you get some people that are like outside the state or outside your area?
Nope, all in the county.
All in
I
the
just
county,
I
right?
just advertised in the 20 groups that are in my county that I'm a part of.
That's great.
So I do have a number of how many reached. I reached 100,000.
Mhm.
I reached 100,000 and I got 52 to attend, 10 walkthroughs. To me,
Mhm.
that's the best return on my
That's awesome.
investment of nothing but time.
Quick suggestion. I just learned a couple of weeks ago that you can actually rent out the boardroom at your local realtor board office. So whatever, you know, in your area, you may have the local Georgia board. They have an education room in most of these because they give classes, right? You can actually rent those out for like next to nothing. So if you wanted to use that for your in-person meeting, might be a good spot with an easy layout.
Yeah,
Re-
I got a Vplex around here. They only charge $50 for 4 hours.
A Vplex,
Oh.
is that
Yeah,
like shared conference
that's
space?
yeah, it's the community space where they have, you know, kitchens and big
Perfect.
conference rooms
That's awesome.
separated. So I do have a space for that, which is really next to nothing. I'm
Hmm,
just going to supply next time. I'm just going to have something for them to eat
nice.
and drink
you
and
should
get the
have
people out.
get that out of your hands.
What's that? Ivania, say it again. You broke up.
Maybe a title agent can buy the food for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, it'll have to be attorneys. We don't do title agents here in Georgia, believe it or not. So
So
yeah,
the
attorney agents and actually loan officers too. So I'm going to do it in person, like you said, with all of the other ones there. My only thing that I don't want to happen is that if I get somebody to sponsor, I don't want them talking about them per se, because I did not talk anything about me. What they know is I work for EXP, I'm a
Yeah.
realtor, and I'm here to educate you on home selling. That was it. That was it. I wanted to be an information person, not advertisements of I'm the go-to.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. That's what won them over.
Yeah,
That-
people don't care about us. They just want to talk about themselves. How can
Mhm.
we? Right. You should also
Yes.
check because I actually met with one of their sales agents for their offices prices. They have really big conference rooms too. So and we get 15% off with EXP.
That's great. Yeah, that's all good stuff, Belinda. So keep us posted. Let us know how that turns out for you. So I'd be intrigued to see your ratio, your closing ratio, when you've got 10 not only warm leads to walk into for listings, but now you're like the local celebrity now because you hosted this successful meetup on Zoom, right? I guess I'm assuming you did it on Zoom.
Yes.
They saw how many people you had on there. You saw all the questions that were being asked, and you were answering them all. So to them, now in their mind, you're one notch above anyone else with a sign in front of a house or somebody with an advertisement in a newspaper, because they actually heard from you, they saw you in action, and now when you step in their home, they're gonna treat you very differently than they would have if you were just cold off the street. So this is a really good way for you to initiate that first contact. That was great. Very creative. I can see you getting an
Thank you.
80% close rate on those at least.
Well, as I say, what God has done for others, he now
Mhm.
does for me and more.
Amen. Yeah, I'd love to hear what your close is going to be. So when next time you come in, I want to hear what you got, what you close them with. It's awesome. Great. We got Chris back. So Chris, you got cut off right before you were telling people that you started real estate in 1920. I'll let you pick up from there. He's been through the Great Depression, so I'm sure we can learn something from Chris. You just gotta unmute yourself, bud.
Well, they do compare the crash of the market in 2008 to the Great Depression,
Yeah, it's
right?
pretty bad. I know. I
And
felt it.
it's funny because that was one of my biggest years ever in 2008. And the main reason was because I was part of a coaching program that taught me in 2006 about the pre-foreclosure market, the REO market, and you know, introduced short sales to my immediate marketplace, like in the Dover, Morris County, Morristown, Roxbury, Randolph area in 2006, 2007. So by the time the market crashed in 2008, I mean, I was listing like 15 short sales a month. So that really catapulted me, and it gave me one of my best years ever in real estate. Made the mistake of buying a Remax franchise, even though everybody told me, don't do it. That's the last thing you want to do. Being a broker means you're broker than all your agents. And but you know, I was young and gung-ho, stubborn, pig-headed, and nobody was going to tell me that I couldn't do it. And I did it. And I wish I could tell you that it was successful, but I realized that being the broker owner was not being a superstar agent, completely two different roles.
Yeah.
Ended up getting myself into a lot of debt, you know, a lot of business debt that I personally signed for. Long story short, I ended up selling my office and then just went back to working, you know, operating as a team. And then Lewis reached out to me for, I don't know, probably over a year and a half or 2 years, until I finally, like, the light went on about EXP. So I see the opportunity that EXP presents itself as an individual agent or a team leader, and as a franchise in itself. I think EXP is a new kid on the block. So if it interrupts the business the way that Remax did back in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, hopefully all of our stocks will fly through the roof, and we'll be laughing in 10 years somewhere sipping pina coladas on a beach.
That's the plan, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, the brokerage model is like real quick. I don't want to make this about EXP, but the brokerage model has been on decline probably for the last 30 years. And what Chris said is not too far off from the truth. You know, when you're a broker, not only are you in a position where you're not going to make as much money as you would if you were just an independent agent who just had all the time in the world, but you're going to sacrifice something. If you don't sacrifice your income, you're going to sacrifice your time. And that time may sometimes be with your family. That time may be for yourself, but it's a very thankless type of role that a lot of people don't see what goes on in the back end. But what Chris, I think, can attest to now is that you can have everything you planned on having and more, what the model EXP has given us, because we can, you know, if we want to grow, we can grow. If we want to produce, we produce. If we want to just be a mentor, we could be a mentor. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do, but you don't have to have that all that weight of the overhead and have the weight of the compliance, because one bad move in real estate, guys, it costs you a lot of money. Like, I'm not even at liberty to talk about it, but I recently settled a lawsuit that probably would have put most people out of business in the real estate brokers. And it was because of simple day-to-day operations, things you guys do all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And some people are out there just to gun you down because they see an opportunity to make a payday. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, it's really you know, it seems like a shiny object, like one of those things that, you know, you want to accomplish for the clout, but at the end of the day, unless you have very, very deep pockets and maybe a lot of people with you along the way to be able to delegate a lot of the work, most of the times it's not going to be successful. And the worst thing of all is that over the last 20 or 30 years, it's a straight race to the bottom. I mean, I'm telling you guys, without exaggeration, there are brokerages here in Florida that you get 100% commission, no exaggeration, 100% commission. They charge you $100 per closing. That's all you pay. That's it. I'm like, how do you guys even make any money? Like, how do you guys even survive? So, obviously they got to juggle a lot of agents in order to be able to keep on the lights, because it's very expensive to run a brokerage, especially if you're brick and mortar, which they all are. And it's just, it's still very early to see, how many of those brokerages will survive the next downturn, because a lot of them have been riding the last 10 to 15 years of nothing but upward price movement. So it'd be very interesting to see if we get another shakeout, how many of those businesses will still be around. Because once you give an agent 100% commission, you can't really be like, hey guys, by the way, next month we're implementing an 80-20 split. They're all out the door. You don't own them and you don't pay them. They'll either go and open their own brokerage, or they'll go and join another brokerage, or they'll join EXP or something. Yeah.
And just
So,
to add on what Lewis said, as far as like, the amount, the financial commitment that you need to run a brick and mortar office. When I had my Remax franchise and my location, I mean, my rent was like $9,000 a month. I had a big location, but at the end of it all, I got myself into like over $600,000 of debt.
yikes.
And operating a business with that kind of burden, dragging you down. I mean, just trying to be a father and a husband with all that pressure on. I can't even begin to tell you how difficult that is. And, I attribute getting through that, and I'm still getting through that, to my faith. It's definitely I've built a stronger relationship with God, which has made me a better father, better husband, better businessman, trying to make wiser decisions. And even when I sold the brokerage firm and I went to operate under Remax as a team leader, even with the team that I was carrying with the office space, Lewis, you may remember, but it was still costing me like $80,000 a year.
Yeah, I know. I did the numbers with Chris. It was crazy what people are paying at Remax.
Yeah. So anyway, and I also noticed that, in this market right now, I feel like the challenges that I'm dealing with is that initially my niche that really separated me from the rest was that I was one of the only bilingual agents in my marketplace. So that really separated me from, from the rest of the industry, because I think there might have been like a total of 4 or 5 agents in my marketplace that spoke Spanish. So that in itself gave me a niche. Then the fact that I specialize in like the pre-foreclosure market, that gave me a niche. But the pre-foreclosure market and the sheriff sales and the REOs, that's all gone away these past couple of years. And the industry has also had, a massive, we're inundated with new licensees. So it's definitely more of a competitive market. And, I wish I could tell you that my phone is ringing more with leads, but I feel like my phone is ringing more with all of these services trying to sell me, well, buy leads or buy this and buy this and buy that. So it's definitely a challenging and competitive market. Different waters that I'm chartering now that I've never experienced in the 20 years that I've been doing business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when those things happen, you really just got to start. You got to slow down. I feel like a lot of people keep trying to double down on what's not working. Sometimes you got to slow down, look at the bigger picture, and see where you can pivot, see what changes you got to make, and see what and don't be scared to ask other people what's working for them. I have a lot of friends who do different things that I don't do, and at a moment's notice, I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them like, hey man, what's working for you? What have you been working on this year? What are your goals for the year? And then I learned something, and then I'm like, that's working, huh? That's interesting. And at the very worst, you're going to hear that someone's doing something very inspiring, and then you're going to get inspired to do something also that's a little bit above what you normally would do. All right. So this is the time to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Any questions for Chris, guys? He's a wealth of knowledge. If you guys ever want to reach out to him, you can obviously find him on Workplace or email him, but he's here if you guys have any questions. And I am going to cover a little bit of about what he's talking today to kind of give you guys a little bit of an insight on a couple of things that every real estate agent should know. But if you guys want to share anything before we get started on that, please feel free.
I don't have a question, but he said something that struck a nerve with me, not in a bad way, but I realized was one of my fears.
Yeah.
And that is getting these constant phone calls and text messages about purchasing and buying leads, that does something to your psyche when you get them several times a week to make you feel like it could make one feel like, I know it made me feel like it at the beginning, that things have changed so much
Yeah.
that I can't get a lead unless I buy into one of these programs.
Well, the majority of agents do have the result to either that or being on a team because they're not resourceful enough. Not that they don't have the resources to do on their own, but they're just not utilizing them. You know, everybody has the resources to think and to take action, but most people would rather just pay someone to send them leads.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I read an article, I think last month, that said that I think home sales were down across the country 28%, and inventory was down 19% compared to the year before. So those are interesting statistics. So, yeah, I agree with you, Louis. I think without a choice, I've had to slow down and, you know, trying to make sure, like, all right, what do I do now to generate more business and to generate more leads?
Yeah, great points, man. It really does. It really does become where there's the term that says that necessity is the mother of invention. So when it comes to these moments, you got to remind yourself of that. Like, okay, there's a new need in the market. There's new circumstances that people are going through. How can I maximize what is needed right now? What can I do to find those people who need me? And what can I do to change a little bit of my strategy to find those right people? And you know, you'll come up with the answers. If you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. That's a big believer in that. Okay. One thing that I want to cover with you guys is that who has noticed that the 30-year mortgage rates are starting to come down? You guys notice that? Right? Have you guys seen anything in the low sixes yet?
5.9 I heard yesterday.
5.9, nice. Anyone else?
An interesting story. So I recently started working with a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
And we closed on a rate. I think it was last week, and I checked the mortgage. You know, when you Google it, it was supposed to be 7.1. We
Yeah.
got 5.95 with her.
You got a 5.95, you said?
Yes, and that day the rates were 7.1.
The rates were around 7.1, you got a 5.9? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Did she charge a bunch of points, or was that just like her standard rate?
Charge no points. I mean, you can buy the rate down, but I don't even think this guy did a rate buy down.
Wow, that's really impressive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're starting to see that happen across the board where rates are coming down. I think I spoke to one of my good friends last week who's been in the mortgage business longer than I've been in the real estate business, and he told me that 6.5 is now kind of like the standard, and he said pretty soon you're going to see those rates even come down lower, and they're probably going to experience a big refi boom. I want to share with you guys something really quick, and then we'll move on to the next thing. I'm going to share my screen. That way I can show you what I'm looking at here. Okay, this here is the 30-year. Let me go into the weekly view. This is the 10-year Treasury note. And for those of you who have been in real estate long enough, you'll understand that the 10-year Treasury bond usually dictates mortgage rates for 30-year mortgages, right? So what we saw here is that back here is when rates were in the threes, you know, back here in this time frame, 2001. But as we know, rates went very high because of the 10-year bond also exploded. So recently we saw as high as 4.3. That's when we were seeing 7.5, 7.7 for perfect borrowers on a 30-year mortgage. So there was a lot of people, you know, having to buy homes up here with those rates. But right now, what we see is that the 10-year bond actually came down. And what I did here is I drew this trend line. And usually what trend lines do is they kind of give you an idea where price may find either support or resistance. So here, I felt like the 10-year Treasury was going to find some support, and it did. It found some support, and it actually started to trend back up, right? And as it goes up, interest rates go up as well. But since then, we actually got a collapse in the 10-year bond, which means that you see here the price is coming down to about 3.29, I think, at its very lowest, Right now it's trending up just a tad bit. But what happens here is when support is broken, like it was broken here, it now becomes resistance. So when it's coming back up, it should find resistance in here. Right now I have this on the weekly. Let me zoom into the daily view so you guys can get a little bit of better view. So right now, this green line is acting as resistance. So if it fails to break through, it's going to be good for real estate, because this is now going to then trend down, and the lower it goes, the lower interest rates will go as well. So since there hasn't been as much fear in the market like there was before, all the news that we were waiting on for the Fed to react is coming out negative, which is good for us, because the worse that the news comes out, such as like the CPI numbers, the inflation numbers, or the PPI numbers, which is the inflation numbers for producers, the worse news we get there, the better for us, because what happens is that when news comes in bad, then the Federal Reserve sees that the economy is actually trending down, which means that they don't have to be as aggressive with rates. So when the market sees that we're getting bad news, the market is always forward thinking. The market is always ahead of what's going to happen next. So since things are going to the downside, the market is rallying up, which means that the 10-year bond is going down. When the market goes up, more people take their money out of fixed treasuries and they put it into riskier assets, because there's a greater return on riskier assets such as stocks. So that's why you're seeing stock prices go up, you're seeing crypto go up, you're seeing everything kind of go up right now. And meanwhile, you're seeing the 10-year bond coming down, and you're seeing interest rates also come down. So we're going to see a lot more fluctuations. I'm sure it's not over. Some people even say that this could be a bear market rally, which means that we get good news during a bear market, which is like a market where we see nothing but downside. So let me show you guys the overall market right here. This is the S&P 500 on the weekly. So as you can see, the S&P 500 has been tumbling ever since 2021 ended, and the whole year was nothing but pretty much downward. But right now, you see we're coming back up. But what people say is that in markets like this, what happens is that we get these short-term fluctuations where you see pricing go up, people get excited, and then the real movement happens, which is could be something like this. Let me show you. So what I'm showing you right now in here is that on the downside, we have this trend line, which means that it's holding us down. And right now, no different, it's holding us down as well. If the market manages to break above this trend line and use it as support and continue its way up, then we've seen the worst. It's behind us. But if we get rejected here and we start coming back down, we can see lower lows than we saw before, which means that interest rates will go back up, our investments will go back down, EXP stock will go down, everything's going to go down. But if we do manage to break through here and find support and come through with a lot of volume, a lot of buying pressure, then we could see probably higher highs for the future. There's no guarantee on that. Anything can happen. You know, we can have inflation numbers could spike up again, and inflation numbers spike up, then the Fed's going to have to be more aggressive with rates and we'll come back down. Okay, so there's no guarantee, but in the short term, if we do break out of here, it's good for the market, and it's good for interest rates, because people will be able to refinance out of higher rates, and we'll probably get our phone ringing a little bit more with people wanting to buy, and sellers will probably end up getting what they want for their house. Make sense? Any questions on this? I know it's a little confusing.
You please explain, I guess maybe in simpler
Yes,
words,
that's
so
why
that
I
I
asked.
to other people, that other chart. What you said, that when the risk it's higher, the rates come down, something like that.
Yeah, so let me show you the 10-year again, the 10-year bond. Okay, this is the 10-year bond. Okay, so the bond market is when you lend money to the government. Okay, so the 10-year bond market is a 10-year note that you're giving to the bank. So you're lending the government money because you know that the government has never gone bad on any debt. Okay, that's just a fact. So the safest place you can put your money is with the US Treasury. Now, when this thing was up here at 4.39, that means you can get risk-free 4.4% return on your money without having to worry about any fluctuations in the market. Okay. So people were doing that. Meanwhile, the market kept sinking and sinking and sinking and sinking and sinking. So people, what they do, smart people with smart money, they take their money out of the stock market, they put it in bonds, they wait for the market to find its bottom, they take it out of bonds and they put it back into the market and they ride it back up. So as you see the 10-year bond going higher and higher, that means mortgage rates also go higher and higher. And as you see, because that's what they're based off of. Okay, that's what 30-year mortgages are based off of. And then as you see it go back down, then you also see the interest rates go back down. Am I answering your question here, Ivani, or can I elaborate a little bit more?
Yes and no, I'm horrible with graphs.
No, please. Ask away, because I'm sure you're not the only one, but you're the most vocal one right now. Just see if, ask me a little bit more of a deeper question.
Explain it to me if I was in first grade, like
Okay.
you're talking and bond. I don't know what, let's
Mhm.
say these people that are investing in these bonds, and what are these
Yeah.
bonds and why do they drive the house market?
They drive the housing market because in order for banks to be able to lend money, they have to be able to borrow money from the Federal Reserve. Like the Federal Reserve also is an institution that also buys mortgages and does a lot. They make the market pretty much go around. They provide liquidity, which means they provide more assets. Oh, I'm sorry, more monetary stimulus in the economy, but they can also take that stimulus away. So what I want to explain to you here is, without getting too complicated, in order for banks to be able to price their mortgages, they got to base it off of something. Okay. So when you see the 10-year bond go higher, right, that means that there's more risk in the market. That's their risk barometer. You know, like in your car, when you step on the gas, you see you're going too fast. Well, the banks use the 10-year bond to gauge that if things are going too fast, or things are going bad, or things are going good. When banks see that 10-year mortgage, the 10-year bond is going too high, they also appropriately price their mortgages. The reason why they do that is because there's less people in the market that are willing to buy mortgages. They would rather put their money in the 10-year bond, because when people buy mortgages, they're taking on risk, right? Because it's not guaranteed that people will pay their mortgages. So when there's less of a risk tolerance in the market, more people put their money here, less people buy mortgages, or less institutions buy mortgages. So there's less money floating around in the mortgage market. So it becomes more expensive for mortgages to be produced. You understand? Like, are you following me so far?
Yes.
Okay,
And
good.
bonds,
Say it again.
what are these bonds?
These bonds are IOUs. So the government doesn't produce money. They don't make money. They don't have a business. They're not China, where they take, businesses over. What they do is they tax us. And sometimes our taxes are not enough. So what they do is they promise us interest on our money if we lend them money. So sometimes the government will sell bonds to people like you and me. Sometimes they'll sell bonds to institutions. Sometimes entire countries will come and buy our debt, because they know that our debt is the #1 asset in the world, because we've never defaulted on any debt ever, right? So they know the US dollar is reserve currency, so it's the safest place to park money. So when you see a lot of people running for the hills because there's too much fear in the market, they all go into buying the treasury, the 10-year treasuries, the 2-year treasuries, or however long they want to hold an IOU for, like a note, like a promissory note, like a mortgage on a house. It's what a note is. So when there's a lot of fear in the market, more people buy bonds. Okay. And then what happens is, since we're getting so much money coming into the bond market, our treasuries are being stockpiled. You also see the dollar also do the same thing. You see how the dollar went crazy because everybody wanted to be in the dollar because it was the safest thing. Well, the dollar, let me just take all this stuff out of here. The dollar also had the same, pretty much the same path as the 10-year note. You know, we had this high up here and then now we're coming down. So when people are not scared anymore, they stop keeping all of their assets in dollars and they start using those dollars to buy cheap assets. So imagine this, Ivania, if you wanted to buy a really good deal on a property, would you want to buy that property at the top of the market or would you want to buy that property at the bottom of the market?
At the bottom of the market.
Exactly. So during the height of the market, what do? You keep your money in your bank because it's not time yet. And then once you start seeing that, hey, I think we've hit the bottom, then you start taking some money out of your bank account and you start buying these cheap assets. You start buying these cheap houses, and then you have less money in your bank account. Look, your money's going down. You have less dollars in your account. Same thing happens with the 10-year bond. This is like the world's bank account. As you see assets getting to a point where they're ridiculously cheap, like Tesla was, like Bitcoin was, like houses are getting, well, houses aren't there yet. People start to take money out of their global bank account because this is where everyone parks their cash. When there's fear, you see the money coming out. And when you see the money coming out, it means there's less fear in the market. Now, right now, this could be a little bit of a fake out and it could come right back up. So, we don't know the future, but it's just easy. It's just an easy way for you guys to understand why mortgages do what they do and why the economy does what it does. Are you following me now?
Louis, could you please explain on the top where it says US government bonds 10-year yield?
Yeah.
What's 1W stand for?
1 week.
1 week.
So,
And
yeah,
then
so if I go to the daily, I can go to the daily. It's a little bit more of a magnified look to see
Okay.
what's happening on a day-to-day basis.
And then what does TVC stand for?
TVC, I'm not exactly sure. Let me see if I can elaborate on this. Total value cap. I think that's what it means, TVC.
Okay. And then to the right of that, it's got all those percentages with a letter in front of it. So what is?
These?
Yeah.
This is the open, this is the high, this is the low, this is the close.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And that last one is what? The average?
This here, I think this is the fluctuation within the probably the fluctuation from the high to the to the low. It could be that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
No problem. Does this make sense, guys? Are you getting something out of this? I hope I'm not like making you more confused, because for the longest time, I'll be honest with you guys, for the longest time, bonds confused the hell out of me because it's crazy. It really is. It's something that you kind of have to sit down and just kind of understand what it actually is and the psychology behind it. The bond market is just basically a big bank account where people park their cash because they're getting really good return on it, like people used to get with CDs. That's all it is. If you guys remember CDs, if you're old enough to remember CDs, that's all it is. And people take money out when things are cheap.
So do people invest in bonds to keep the dollar in value? Is that what we're trying to say?
No, nobody cares if the dollar has value or not. People invest in bonds because they want to protect their cash. So let's just say you were investing into EXP stock for the last few years, and you felt that EXP stock got to a point where, hey, this is probably as high as it's going to get for the next few years. And the market's not looking too good right now. Everything is pointing to that we're going to have a crash. So a person who's more educated in the investing space, who's been doing this for years, might say, you know what, I think I'm going to start selling off some of this EXP stock, and I'm going to park it in treasuries, because at least in treasuries, I can make a 3% return. A 3% return, last time I checked, is better than losing 70% of your assets value, right? Who would rather make 3% than lose 70%? Right? Pretty much everybody. So imagine if you were sharp enough to say, okay, well, back here.
How do you buy these bonds?
The same way you buy a stock, you just go to your brokerage house, whether that be Fidelity or whoever you use, and you can find options for buying the 10-year bond on there. You can buy treasuries. So let's just say that you're like, oh my God, this stock just had like a crazy run up. This is not normal. Like, now that you guys experienced it, now you know what doesn't look normal. When you have a crazy run up like this, people are going to take profits. People are going to sell. And you don't want to be the last one holding the bag, even though EXP, I feel, in my opinion, has a long way to go, in price over the next few years. But if you were playing the market, what you could have done is said, okay, well, man, I'm pretty happy with this return. And remember, we had a stock split. So, we were getting stocks back here. When it had this kind of a return, everyone felt super rich at EXP. Imagine if some of these people were like, you know what? All the stock that I have that's not locked up, I'm going to sell that and keep up my locked up shares. And I'm going to put that money into cash. And sometimes people say, like, cash is trash. You should never have your money in cash. Well, in high inflationary times, cash is not trash, because in high inflationary times, your cash is worth more every day. And what usually happens in high inflationary times is that assets tend to lose their value. And when they do, you're the one that's sitting on cash, or you're the one that's sitting on treasuries, which is the most liquid. Liquid means you can cash it out at a moment's notice. You're either sitting on cash or you're sitting on treasuries, which is a good place to be, because then when EXP stock falls to as low as what, $10, I think it was at one point here. When you can see EXP stock being at $10, you can say, well, at $10, I sold out at 88. That means I can literally buy 8 times as much stock as I sold. Wow. That's how people get rich. Do you understand? You guys follow me?
I think we need a lesson just in graph.
Just in graphs?
Louis, you're so smart. It's so cool.
Buy low and sell high.
That's what I've been trying to say. But it's not so difficult when you listen to Alejandro's strategy.
I would, hi everyone, by the way.
Yeah.
I was taking
Hey,
some classes. I was taking some classes on stock market and stuff. And for people that really are interested, like right now, I see that Vanya's she's very curious.
Mhm.
It's very important that you really, learn what you need to do here, because you want to know what you're doing. I did I made good money, but then I saw that kind of iffy, and I got busy on real estate, so I kind of flew off of it.
Mhm.
But once you know what you're doing, you really make some good.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Yanette. That's true, guys. An investment in your education is the best investment you can make. But one thing I want you guys to remember is that everybody is a genius, including myself, when you're looking at a backwards graph. When I'm showing you guys what happened 2 years ago and what we should have done, I'm like, and you're probably thinking, wow, I should have done that. That's very smart, Louis, to do that. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it either. Because why? Because I was too preoccupied and working on other things and doing other things. I kind of got lulled to sleep. And one of the major rules in investing is that you don't sell when the market is down, because then you lock in your losses, right? So if I was getting awarded stock and buying stock in the 50s and 60s up here, why in the world would I sell it at 10? Unless I need to pay for like a medical emergency or something. Why would I do that? You don't do it, because the minute you do that, you get a candle that is even bigger than this one probably, and everything goes back up to normal. So this is a lesson for the future. It's not a lesson for you to jump into a time machine and go into the past. We can't do that. What we can do is look at the history of what's happened. We all know that EXP Realty is probably one of the next greatest things in real estate. And what we can draw from this conclusion is that in life, nothing ever stays in the same direction forever. So what I'm telling you by that is that if you were to just chart out, very simple, I can't tell you guys to do with your money because you guys obviously know I'm not your financial advisor. But if you were to buy cheap homes, like I asked Ivania, you'd want to do it at the very bottom. You don't want to do it up here, right? Same thing goes with any asset, whether that be crypto, stocks, or homes, or anything you choose to invest in. The best times to accumulate are when everyone else is scared. So believe it or not, people are more likely to buy stock up here than they are down here, because human nature is that you run with the herd, and people see everyone going this way. You're like, oh my God, green candles, I got to buy. In reality, you should be buying when it's boring, when it looks like this is not doing anything. So for the last couple months, I've been buying $100 a day of Tesla stock because I want to average in my cost price, because I don't know when the bottom is going to be, but I know it's at a great price. Same thing with EXP stock. We average in every time we close a deal. So every time we close a deal, we're getting this $10 stock. You guys should all be doing that. I mean, I would be if I was in your position and I have at least 10 more years to live. I would definitely be averaging in, because when this thing eventually does one of these, and then we get new highs, $100, everyone's going to be like, damn it, I had months to accumulate at $10 and I never did. I could have bought all the way in here. And people will be laughing at the next EXP con saying, well, man, I made so much money from my stock again, like they did before. And a lot of people are going to be like, damn, I should have just looked at the chart, because the chart doesn't lie. You know, we're either going to float around $10 or we're going to go to bankruptcy, and bankruptcy doesn't look too likely for EXP since we're growing so much. So if I was to be a betting man, I would say that this looks like a really good time to accumulate, because the only reason EXP stock is doing this is not because EXP is a bad company. It's because there's so much fear in the market that the stock market is acting irrationally with a lot of good companies. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bad companies out there that are going to probably end up going bankrupt, like Open Door, you know, like some of these electrical vehicle manufacturers. A lot of companies will go bankrupt, but I wouldn't be putting EXP in that same lineup. Questions? Comments?
Louis, do you see Bitcoin going up or no?
Well, it's up 30% this year alone, just in 2023. And I'm like, right now is a great time to, if you guys are believers in crypto, I would say that Bitcoin and Ethereum are probably the safest things for you to look at. Same story with Bitcoin, guys. I mean, if you look at I'm sorry, that's not Bitcoin, that's the entire crypto market. So if you look at Bitcoin here, same thing, like, you know, we were up here and a lot of people were buying up here. You know, we're in the same type of environment as we were with EXP, where, let me just take all this stuff off the map.
I pulled out my money and I put it in a digital wallet.
Did you?
Yeah, because I heard you talking about it once on
That's
the
great.
Zoom.
Yeah, that's great that you did that. Basically what that means is she took the money, she took her crypto and put it on her mattress virtually, so nobody can touch it. So good for you.
Yeah, but I want to sell it. Like, I can't wait for
Oh,
it to
yeah.
go back, and I just want to get rid. And never again, by the way.
Oh, you'll never buy crypto again?
No more.
Do you need the money?
I don't, but I just wanted to get back to where I bought it, and once it's at the same price, I'm selling it.
Does anyone have any not so much advice, but does anyone have any commentary on what she just said?
I rather buy a bar of gold, just like how my mother and my grandmother did.
Okay.
and not do no more digital money.
What did you buy? Bitcoin, or did you buy anything else?
No, it was a Bitcoin.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so go ahead. Anyone else?
For some reason, I feel the same way now that everything came down so drastically.
Thank you.
So far from what we invested that I just leave it there. And I actually started checking again last week, but then I keep hearing all this, you know, like silver talk and gold talk, and
That happens in every crash. So the silver and gold bugs come out of the woodwork. So let me show you guys something. This is the gold chart. You see this orange line right here? That's the gold chart, and this is the Bitcoin chart. Okay. So if you don't need the money, Sarah, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I would do. If you don't need the money, then just forget you even have it. Don't lose your seed phrases. Don't lose your passwords. Forget you even have it. Because with Bitcoin, what you're buying is you're buying the volatility. With gold, there is no volatility. Plus, gold is very heavily manipulated by institutional investors anyway. So there aren't going to be any there aren't going to be any life-changing upswings for gold. Gold is a very much a stable type of investment or asset, as you would call it. But what you're paying for with Bitcoin is you're paying for the volatility. So right now we're coming up on what's called the halving for Bitcoin. The halving basically means that the miners, like in gold, you know, you have those miners who go and mine the mountains and they get gold out of the ground. Well, the same thing happens in Bitcoin. Miners are people who have high-powered computers who are basically solving very complicated arithmetic problems. and they're getting rewarded in Bitcoin. I think right now it's 12.5 Bitcoins for every block they complete is what they get paid. So right now we're coming up on a halving this year, which means that now they're only going to be getting paid 6.25 Bitcoin for every block they complete, which means that Bitcoin is going to become more scarce. So whenever you cut a asset in production by half, that means that the price of that asset has to go up. Every time there's been a Bitcoin halving, I think we're going to be up to 4 halvings now. The price has spiked like ridiculously high. So I don't know what price you bought your Bitcoin.
44.
24?
At 44.
44.
Yeah,
That's fine. 44, it seems like you bought it at a high price. It
correct.
probably won't get there till later this year or maybe next year if it does go back there, you know, in this time frame. But once it does get to those numbers, 100 grand is not out of the question. And who else believes me here that they think that 100 grand is not out of the question for Bitcoin?
I believe you.
I'm not
You're
saying
smart. I believe you.
I'm not saying
I
it'll happen
believe
this
you.
year or next.
That and Ethereum. I've been
That
using
and Ethereum.
Ethereum just to pay off little stuff. I've even, because I have an automatic draft out of my account,
Mhm.
I just do small cash outs and push it over to my children's account.
Very, very smart.
Because even though it's low, it's still making more money than a regular savings account. So why wouldn't I?
Exactly.
There is another thing. There's also not only Bitcoin, but there's more where they are less than a penny that if you invest a good amount of money on it, and once it goes up, you could make a killing. Like Shiba, when they did anybody remember when Shiba, it was like the most spoken coin for about a month? No.
There's a lot of momentum in
Yeah.
some of those meme type of assets. AMC is a stock that was like that, or you guys know, like Shiba, like she said, there was a lot of things that went crazy, and those things obviously do have huge pumps. But the problem with those is that human nature a lot of times doesn't allow us to sell when we should sell, and we ride those waves right back down. And those have a very high chance of going to zero, because when there is no real value behind something, you're really just riding a momentum wave. So if you're smart enough and talented enough to be able to ride those waves and sell when they do hit high numbers, you can make a lot of money, like she said.
You could start even with 500, you get millions coins, and just at least, even if it's 2 pennies that it goes up. So that's investments to try out.
Good. Yeah, we're running a little bit over time, guys. So I will let you guys close out with any final thoughts. Anybody else want to add anything before we go?
Yeah, real quick, Luis. I was going to ask you, let's go back to stocks. You mentioned something like $80 for EXP. Was that just an example? And now it's down to 10? Or
no, EXP was actually at $88. That was the high, actually, for just to kind of remember, if you guys recall, EXP had I want to say a 2-for-1. Oh, do you guys remember if it was 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 stock split? Do you guys remember what it was? 2-for-1?
Yeah.
Okay, so the stock actually hit $166 or $170. That's when Grant Cardone and his wife joined EXP. There was so much hype in the company, but it did. And then obviously we've seen that it's come down probably about 70-something% since then.
And what is it now?
Oh, right now it's floating around what, $13, $14? I think it is right here right now.
Oh, wow. And then there's good prospects that it might be going up depending with how the market goes.
Yeah, I mean, look, if someone were to say, I'll give you $1 million if you can guess if this is going up or if it's going down in the next 12 months, I would probably say it's going up. And the reason why is because you have support all the way back here in the stock. You have support all the way at like $2 and $3, and you have all of this room up here for it to fill. So I would say it would be trading north of $13 in a year if I was to take that bet with someone.
So right now, it seems like an interesting time to buy more EXP stock.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't tell you guys what to do with your money, but I know that I'm not selling any of my stock and I'm buying it every time that I'm closing.
What's your next support at? Like, what do you see it going up to this year?
Oh, well, resistance as far as where it could probably some interesting levels for us to be at.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now. Let me just get rid of this gold chart in here that I have. Let's see if I can get rid of this. I'm gonna get rid of this gold chart. Here we
In
go.
that somewhere around with that
Okay.
600% that you had there.
Yeah. So what I'm going to show you
That's
guys.
where I'm seeing it. That's where, well, I've already marked mine, but yeah, that's where I'm seeing it.
Okay. Like I have marked out here buy area. Look, I had this marked out from like a year ago. Like anything under here, I was like, this is a buy area. And anything under here, I had it marked out as an extreme buy area. And we're under the extreme buy area right now. So let me show you guys what I'm seeing. So what I would do here is very simple. I would just, what I'm doing here is I'm looking for volume. I'm looking for volume areas. So volume means where there's an area that you see a lot of buying and selling going on. So right here, this graph tells me, these bars here to the left tell me that there was a lot of buying in this area of $22 to $23, a lot, right? So I have it here marked as a buy area because of that. So I'm going to adjust it down a little bit because it actually, it updated since then. So I would say that our next resistance level is at $21. So if it breaks out of where we are right now, which if you guys want, see, the thing is you can get as local as you want. If we break out right now of where we are, which this tells me that there has been a lot of resistance here and support here. If we break out in the next few days or maybe next few weeks out of this area where we are, and we turn this into support, we could rock it up to $21 pretty easily, okay? Or, you know, we could possibly have something like this, where we use this as support and chug along and then eventually come back down, test it again. But my next area for resistance would be around $21. If you guys follow me with why I'm coming up with that. Do you guys see why I'm saying that? The reason I'm saying it is because there's a lot of volume here. So what this means is that a lot of people bought and sold in this area. So what happens is that when people buy at $21 and they start to feel like Sarah does, like, oh my God, as soon as I get the $21, I'm just going to dump this stuff because I don't want to, I feel like I've been underwater and I've been losing money this whole time. So a lot of people will sell here, which means that the price may find resistance, because when you get to this level, a lot of people already have set orders, automatic triggers, that when it gets to 21, just cash me out. I'm done. I don't even want to talk about the stocks anymore. That's how a lot of people feel. So what will happen is that you'll get people selling here, the price will come back down, and then it could find support back here, and then bang. You know, that's what happens. That's psychology. It's happened not once, but it's happened every single time we've had a down market. It always happens. It gets people into the mode where they just don't want to think about it anymore. They hate the stock market. And those are the reasons why crashes exist, because rich people know that human psychology is that when things are down, they just want out, they want their money back, they come back in, they scoop everything up for nothing, and they ride it back up to the next wave. And they repeat it again every 10 years. And people forget because they have short-term memory. Same thing happened in 08, same thing happened in 29, same thing happened in the 80s, same thing will happen in the 2030s, 10 years from now. It just happens all the time. Anyone want to add to this? Because I'm sure you guys have some experience in this as well. No? You guys are speechless? Oh.
A lot of information.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, listen, you guys, it's all about just learning a little bit. We don't have to learn everything I said today or remember everything I said today. As long as you get some basic concepts out of this, that's really all this is meant for. And we got really deep into the weeds today with the market and stocks and crypto. I know that that's normally not our thing, but if you guys like these, hey, we could talk about this too.
Got a fun fact for everybody.
That's nice.
Go for it.
If you have a birth certificate and a social security card, if you look at them, they are on bonded paper.
Mm,
Yeah.
And your social security card, the number on the back is your bond account number with the US Treasury.
wow, I did not know that.
Yes, you could go on DNB and find out what you're worth to the US government.
Wow.
So
Nice.
that's why your name will always appear in caps, because you are a corporation. You are not a person once you obtain a birth certificate. And that's why they give you hell and high water to even obtain a death certificate. And that's why they never want you to make changes to a birth certificate. That's why you have to go to court to change your name and do anything else, because you don't understand the trail of paperwork that has to go with changing a birth certificate.
That's probably why there's such a large exit tax too when you want to
Yes.
what's that called, when leave the country or expatriate the
Yes.
country?
Because that bond is sold. That's part of the US money.
Yeah, because we are the resource, the taxpayer is the resource.
Absolutely.
So when people invest in the United States Treasury, they're investing in the fact that we're not going to default on our debt, because they can just tax us and pay it back.
Yes.
So anytime you guys hear about a huge spending bill, just remember, guys, that's all coming out of our pocket. We're picking up that bill with interest.
Yeah, all the time. If you're like me, once you work several years, you'll realize that you have already capped out on your Social Security. What they're collecting from you now, if you're still allowing them to pay Social Security, it's just going to another fund. It has nothing to do with you anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to get what you're going to get, and you probably reach what you was going to get by the time you was 30 if you worked since 15, like me.
One last thing I'll add to that's going to blow your mind, guys. The higher the 10-year bond goes and the higher bond yields go, the more interest the United States has to pay on their loans. Who do you think is picking up that interest?
We are.
The taxpayer, correct?
Yeah.
So, we don't want to see high bond yields. That could literally destroy our economy. So, yeah, hopefully we get back to some normal levels and we keep chugging on forward. All right. Anything anyone else wants to add before we go?
Thank you so much, Luis.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
This was great.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys learned something.
No, I always feel smarter being connected with you.
Yeah, I tend to geek out on these things when you guys aren't looking, so I can give you guys some nuggets of information. So I appreciate you guys enjoyed it.
I'm actually gonna take on Christopher's invitation, and I'm gonna make it my own. I'm traveling to Naples next month, so I'm gonna be reaching out to you because I'm gonna come geek out with you.
Oh, please do. I would love to show you around and teach you anything you want to learn.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I actually have a girl to introduce you to, so I'm excited.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, one of my friends is coming tomorrow. I love when people come down from Jersey and I get to see their face and they're like, my God, this is where you live. I can't believe people actually live here. And then they go home and they're sad. I remember Trina was down here not too long ago. There's people coming out in and out all the time. It's great. I consider myself very lucky. Well, thank you guys. All right, let's go ahead and close out today, guys. And I appreciate everyone being here. I know we're way over, but I think it was good information for you guys to pick up on. All right, dear Lord, Father, we thank you for having us here, Father. We thank you for all the information that you have blessed us with. And we ask you, Father, to allow us to keep that information and be able to use it, Father, and utilize it for our families and to progress our lives and our finances forward, Father. Father, we ask you also to please forgive us, Father, for any sins that we commit, Father, unknowingly or knowingly, Father. You know we're not perfect. Even though we're made in your image, Father, we have a lot to learn. Father, we also ask you to bless our families and bless ourselves with health and with the fortitude, the Father, to be able to progress forward, and Father, and be the best person we can. We ask you to also bring us back here, Father, next Monday in good health. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Amen. Have a
Bye.
fun, everybody.
Have a great week, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.